What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of 30 Minutes of Hell. I am your host, Brandon Baker, joined by Joey Jackson and Matt Jackson. We're here to talk a little bit of Razorback basketball with you guys. Unfortunately, the Hog season came to an abrupt and disappointing end, but it is now the ever exciting time for portal season. Um, we've got not a lot of announcements so far, a lot of names in the portal, not a lot of movement from the Hogs. We're going to get into all of it. But first, we haven't really had a chance to discuss our thoughts on the final game and how the Razorback season ended this year. I know it's been a while now since that game, so we're not going to harp on it for too long. Um, but just in a nutshell, for me, I'm not mad that they lost because honestly, I didn't expect them to get as far as they did at that point. It felt like they could compete with anybody, but I was never confident in a win in like their last couple of games. So it was awesome to see how they got to that point. The thing that I'm mad about is how they lost, and I think that is the sentiment across most Razorback fans. You just can't blow a lead like that in a game where they were coasting. I mean, they were coasting to a chance at a Final Four, their third Elite Eight in the last 5 years. It would have been fantastic. I still think that they are an Elite Eight caliber team. It just sucks that they let it go the way they did, and that one's gonna sting for a long time. It's gonna go down as one of those Hogs gonna hog moments that ranks up there. And I don't know the last time we've seen one like this in basketball. Other sports have had their moments where it's gonna hang around and sting for a while, but this is one of the ones in basketball just because of how they lost, not because they did lose. But blowing that lead is was brutal.
Yeah, it really sucks because I loved this team. I think we all came to really, really enjoy watching this team. And it was a thing where it happened the two games prior, where we would be up big and then we give up a lead. And, you think that you would learn from the game before, whenever we blew it against Kansas. And then you think that you learned it when we blew a pretty sizable lead against St. John's, and that catches up to you. If you can't learn from the previous, then you're not going to make it very far in March. But like you said, Brandon, it felt like we were an Elite Eight. It felt like we were, had a road to a potential Final Four. But it is what it is. Regardless, I'm incredibly proud of this team and how we bucked up this season. We talked about it mid-year. If Cal even made the tournament, it would go down as one of his best coaching performances of all time. And I still stand by that. I think what he did with this group of guys, with seven guys and honestly almost only six guys at one point toward the end, I think it's very, very admirable. Again, just very, very proud of this team. I'm really going to miss watching them. They were, toward the end of the season, the second half of the season, they were a fun team to watch. Just how much heart they left out on the court night in and night out. Just really sad to see it end like it did.
Yeah, it was heartbreaking. I still haven't gotten over it. People still ask me because I haven't seen certain people like at work and everything, and they're like, "Hey, what'd you think of the game?" It's like, well, I wanted to cry. But what hurt the most was Texas Tech was not the better team. Their seeding may have said so. They weren't. We just blew it outright. We just blew it. And that's what hurt the most. The years before, losing to UConn, yeah, that's all right. Losing to Baylor, and they went on to win the championship. I mean, it's okay when that happens, but to lose to Texas Tech just hurt a little bit worse because I felt like we were the better team. And overall, though, like Brandon said, didn't even expect to make it in the tournament in January. So making it to a Sweet 16, you cannot be mad about that. Love the team, love the guys, and I want to see more of them.
As you guys know by now, we've partnered with BetMGM this season. We'll be using BetMGM lines to make all of our picks, and we'll have special offers for the listeners and the viewers of the Field of 68 as we all get ready for the best month of the year, March Madness. If you haven't signed up for BetMGM yet, you can use the bonus code FIELD150 and you will get $150 in free bets on your first wager with BetMGM, regardless of whether or not you win that first bet. Here's the best part. All you need to do is deposit and bet $5 of your hard earned money. This is how you make it work. Download the BetMGM app and sign up using the bonus code FIELD150. That's FIELD150. Deposit at least $5 and place your first wager on any game. You will receive up to $150 in bonus bets, regardless of the outcome of your bet. Just make sure you use that bonus code FIELD150 when you sign up. And remember, BetMGM is now available in one wallet in select states. As a New Jersey resident, this is super convenient when I have to go cover games in Philly or New York, which happens quite a bit. When you cross state borders, you just log into your existing account and fire away. You don't have to create a new account in each state. It's easy, it's simple, and it's clean. And most importantly, we have some fun stuff coming up for the conference tournaments and for the NCAA tournament. Bet insurance tokens, college hoops odds boost, and my personal favorite, a nice little parlay boost here and there. So download the BetMGM app and sign up today. Big news, guys. I am thrilled to announce that we have partnered with Autograph, a company founded by the GOAT himself, Tom Brady. The Autograph fandom app gives you access to the best college hoops content, fan contests, and exclusive rewards like discounted tickets, all for doing the things that diehard fans like you already do, following your favorite team in the news and listening to podcasts just like this one. When Tom, and yes, I am calling him Tom, we're on a first name basis these days, co-founded Autograph, he had one mission in mind: change the fan experience for the better. It works like this: you get all of your college hoops content you want in one place. You get articles from your favorite writers, pods from your favorite hosts, contests from your favorite creators, all on the feeds and the sites that you already enjoy. But instead of having to go to all these different places, it all comes to you in one spot, the Autograph fandom app. But here's the best part: the more content that you consume, the higher you rank in the app. As you consider to level up in status on the app, you can unlock unique rewards curated exclusively for you. So download the free Autograph app in the App Store and use the referral code F68, that's F68, or tap in at the link in the description below or in the podcast app of your choosing to start earning points for doing something as normal as listening to this very podcast.
Yeah, I think you hit the nail on the head, Matt. The 3 years under Muss that they went far, twice they lost to the eventual champ, and the third year they lost to Duke that had a number one overall draft pick and a team loaded with NBA talent. It's easier to, it sucks to lose always, but it's an easier pill to swallow when it's clear that the other team is just like a juggernaut. Right? Like whenever, but when we should have won that game, and that's what makes it harder. But we move on. Like I said, it's been a little while now. It's still not behind us. I think it's going to linger for a long time, but I've coped enough with it to move on to portal season. Um, so that's what we're going to do. Let's talk about what the roster kind of currently stands at. There's a lot of unknown, a lot of guys that have not announced their decisions yet. We're still very early in portal season. Um, but let's talk about it. So for starters, you have Nelly and Jonas Adu are out of eligibility, along with Kareem Watkins, one of our bench guys this year. So appreciative of both Nelly and Adu. They were both top transfers last year. Happy they chose to be Hogs. Wish very much that the season could have gone differently for both of them. Both very much battled injuries all year, but both came around and were both playing their best basketball for the last 4 weeks or so. Um, Sad to not get to see them for a full season at full strength, but they are now out of eligibility, unable to return to next year's roster. And so far, the transfer portal has taken three Razorbacks, Casimir Chavis and Melo Sanchez, two more of the bench guys. I thought Chavis had a chance to maybe contend for like the 11th, 10th man next year had he stayed, but he decided to go elsewhere and see if he can get some minutes. And then also Big Z has hit the portal. No official announcement on where he's going, but I would not be surprised at all to see Big Z go play with his brother. More than likely at Illinois, unless his brother also chooses to hit the portal. But those, so far, those are six guys that are for sure not back with Arkansas next year. And then you've got three freshmen incoming, and Retail from the professional leagues overseas coming in technically as a freshman also. So four newcomers as freshmen coming in. And then from there, it's all question marks. You've got no official transfers that have committed to Arkansas yet, but you have Trevin Brazil, Carter Knox, and Billy Richmond, who I believe all three are very likely to come back. I think their most likely outcome is that they all play for Arkansas again next year. So just kind of in a nutshell, or if there's any of them that you want to call specifically, how do we feel about getting these three guys back from roster continuity, from how they played this year, going into sophomore season for both Knox and Billy? I'm excited to get them back, but I'm curious how you guys feel about these three guys.
Oh, please, please bring them all back. I mean, Brazil started playing phenomenal. It just looked like he got his confidence back, and seeing him continue that next year would be amazing. We're gonna need him. I know for sure. Knox is gonna be a stud. Like he was a stud at the end of the season, let alone another full summer with Cal and guys he's played with before. It's going to be amazing. And then Billy with another little bit of time to calm down. I mean, oh, just gives me amped up thinking about it. I can't wait if they do come back.
Yeah, and I think that we really saw something that we didn't really see year over year with Muss, which was the growth of players during a season. So Brazil took a massive step year over year. Knox mid year, Muss probably would have benched Knox and we wouldn't have seen much of him.
And he would have
But
transferred.
yeah, but Cal, put a lot of trust into him. And it's hard not to whenever you don't have a very deep bench. But just seeing the growth of both Knox and Billy throughout the season, we were talking about Billy early on about how he was so out of control and he still had those lapses, but he just became a player that we relied so much on defensively. His passing improved, his kind of floor general esque play got a little better throughout the course of the season. So I think that speaks a lot to Cal as a coach and a developer of players. And just with the trust that I have in our coach now to develop players throughout a season year over year, I think that is everything I need to know to want all three of those guys back. I'm thrilled if Brazil comes back after what we saw from him this year. I think he has the potential to be better than the hype that was around him last year, if that makes sense. So he's just got limitless potential if he continues going in the direction that he's going.
I really loved what we saw in the last game of the season, or the last couple of games. I think we saw a couple times where he was like took the ball off the dribble and went baseline and realized, oh, I can just jump over this guy. Like he
Yeah.
dunked a couple on a dude's head, finished a tough layup like that. And like I don't want him just constantly having to dribble and make plays, but if he realizes that he can put the ball on the deck, get in the paint sometimes when he wants to, yeah, I think that's the next step forward for him. We've seen that he can shoot. We've seen how he is as an off-ball player with lobs, offensive rebounds, blocking shots. Like we see all those things in his skill set already. But if he takes that step forward to be able to just make a play every now and then too, yeah, I agree completely. I think Knox is a likely candidate to start next year
Oh
because
yeah.
he's so versatile too with his strength and size, but also his skill set. I could almost like in a lot of situations you can play him the two, three, or the four, depending on the lineup on the court. So that really gives Cal and his staff a lot of flexibility going into this offseason. If you get a guy like Knox back who can start. He could come off the bench too. I would prefer to see him start. I think that he could truly be like a 12, 14 point per game kind of guy next year, like a go-to kind of guy. Brazil also has that starting potential. I would love if we could find someone that can start in that spot and let him be a spark off the bench. But again, versatile, right? Like it's okay either way.
And the thing about Knox, to your point about versatility, is he doesn't mind to play any of those three spots. He'll sit down and he'll guard, your shooting guard, best player on the quarter. He'll sit down and he'll be a four and he'll bang around in the post. Whereas, you see a lot of players, Brazil's really one of those guys who doesn't typically like to play the center spot. He prefers that four spot. But just being willing to be that energy guy that can go to any of those three spots. He's strong enough to bang down low at the post. He's quick enough to be that perimeter defender. Just that willingness to go out and play any of those positions makes him just that much better to be in that starting role.
Yep. I like how Brazil has developed defensively more than anything else. Like I was at the beginning of the season, I sat and was like, "Hey, don't get him on anybody because he's going to get beaten up." He stood his ground the second half of the season. He did really well. We always knew he could block shots because dude can jump over a semi truck, but he was tough. And having that alongside maybe a more defensive minded center starting, I don't think that would be a problem if they didn't want to take him off the bench. But I like the bench idea, but I think he could start just fine as long as they got that good center from the transfer portal.
He just needs to take a slight step up in his perimeter defense to where he doesn't get blown by every play.
Yeah, since it's a new
If
game of 3-point shooting, you have to be able to do everything when you're that tall too, and which is hard. I mean, but he's got to do better at that. But overall, I think he's gotten better just because of the development and how good of a coach we have.
Moving on to the two guys that I think are kind of, I would call them both 50-50 right now. They may be leaning one way or the other. But I don't classify them as probably will be back, more of could be back. We'll start with Thero. Adu Thero was very pumped when I heard that he was considering coming back. It sucks that the injury really dropped his draft grade as much as it has so far. But he's still, I think, going to go through the draft process, so his decision probably won't come for a while, for a couple months maybe. But just, I mean, real quick, I mean, we want him back, right? Like, there's no world where I think that anyone has the opinion that they don't want him to return if he wants to come back.
Right?
Am I wrong there?
No.
All right. So let's move on then to talk about DJ Wagner. A lot of conflicting feelings at the end of the season because of how the last game ended. It's really hard to put that kind of blame on DJ's shoulders, though. I think he did a really good job all season, and in that game, he had really good plays and really good moments. Just sucks that the two plays at the end of regulation and overtime just came down to the ball's in his hands, and we're not doing enough to get anyone else open or get him open. And he was stuck taking two tough shots. And some of that's on him, but a lot of it's on the team, on Cal, it was everybody. So, but on the course of the season, I was still pretty happy with DJ, especially when he stepped into that lead point guard role. I would love to have him back as a junior now, as an upperclassman, being the leader as the point guard on the court. I would want him back if he wants to come back, unless Cal knows that he can go get the best point guard in the portal available, which I don't even know that there's one right now that stands out as like the best point guard. So unless Cal thinks that someone else is going to hit the portal that he can lure in, like there's not many guys that I would take over DJ right now, as far as when you think of roster continuity and how well he played and that he's played for Cal, just the leadership, the experience. Like I want him back if he wants to come back.
Yeah, I 100% agree. I would love to have DJ back. I think he was kind of our unspoken leader for a good chunk of our run. And I just think he'll continue to grow. I think he'll continue to be that leader in the point guard role. And I don't expect him to be a starter next year alongside the class of guards that we have, but I would love to see him coming off the bench as, a 20 to 25-minute guy and being that leader off the bench.
Yeah, I would definitely like him back, but like you mentioned, the guards that we have, it's like where do you get him the minutes where he'd be very effective? Like him being a leader would be great, but you also have to have him. I mean, you're gonna have to have him on the bench a lot of the time if we're having somebody like Acuff or Thomas.
Thomas, yeah.
I mean, they're gonna play heavy, heavy roles, and then there's always that. What if Boogie comes back type of thing too, which will he Probably not. I wouldn't, but I mean, there's always that up in the air. We have good guards, and that's not a bad problem to have. It's just where do you fit him in? Because
And
the shooting issue is my thought is we're going to get some shooters, and he's just going to be that. I mean, he's a good floor general, like you guys mentioned. He's the leader, so that's where his playing time would come in.
but I think the interesting thing about the roster that we currently have is the versatility on it.
That is
You
fair.
know, yeah, we've got Knox and we've got Billy, and I mean, assuming let's just assume that those two come back, they can both play a three spot. Knox can play a four spot. Like honestly, Malik Thomas can play a two or three spot.
Hmm.
So
Yeah.
I don't know if it's really as much of a minute fight with how many different lineups we can have. Yes, we do have a lot of guys that are labeled as guards, but with how long our team is and how many different positions so many of our guys can play, I don't know if it's going to have that big of an impact on someone like Wagner's minutes, who's primarily a guard.
Yeah. And
I
thinking
I
about it.
also
Oh, go ahead. Go ahead.
I also would start him regardless. I would start him with a cuff. I would not start Malik Thomas over DJ Wagner right now. I understand that that puts two point guards on the court together, maybe run into kind of the problem we had this year when you had Boogie and DJ kind of on the court together. But I mean, you can stagger their minutes, but I want DJ with the ball in his hands. I think that he's steadied the entire team all the time this year. And Acuff is a great player, and Thomas is a great player, but having DJ Wagner allows both of them to ease into the college game. You don't just roll the ball on the court and that's your starting backcourt and say figure it out. So especially early on, I would start DJ alongside one of them.
I was gonna say too, looking back, thinking about it, Coach Cal's not necessarily. He's known for keeping his best guys coming off the bench. I mean, we talked about it. I think early on because we were like wondering where was Carter gonna be, where was Boogie gonna be, and he could very easily put both of his freshmen, his five stars, on the bench to start the season and come off the bench because we do have guys that are veterans in a way. So
The thing, the thing with Cal too, exactly what you're saying. He's built up such a repertoire. Like people understand, and a reputation. Like people understand the stats that his guards put up in college should not be taken at face value. Like because of exactly what you're saying. Like, he always just has loaded guard,
mhm.
like loaded backcourts. So if like it's an easier sell for Cal for excuse me, it's an easier sell for Cal to tell a guy like Acuff or Thomas, you're gonna come off the bench, but you're still gonna be a first round draft pick. Like you may only score 10, 11 points per game, but they're gonna see what you can do. And like I think that he can sell people on that because he's done it so many times.
Yeah, I mean Devin Booker, six man.
Rob
That's my
Dillingham and
biggest.
Reed Shepherd
Yeah,
2 years ago, they both came off the bench and they were both like lottery picks.
right. I mean it's not going to be surprising if either of them do sit on the bench a little bit. And I would rather have a veteran anyway, just because it's so hard. I mean, we saw how long it took Carter and Billy, and we didn't really get to see Boogie develop too much, but overall, it took them a little bit to get used to the pace of college basketball. And once they settled in, though, it was amazing, and it would be awesome to see that same thing happen with Acuff and Thomas because I know they're going to be good.
Yep. Speaking of, you mentioned Boogie. He still has not yet announced his decision. Rumors, rumblings, whispers that he is mulling his options of a return to college. I think he's going to the draft. I think if he's a first round grade, I don't think that he's going to risk coming back. Just my opinion. We'll wait on his decision, but it's always out there. Um, all right, so we've kind of thrown out everybody's names, incoming guys, guys leaving. It's kind of hard to keep up with all of it. Be sure to follow me on Twitter if you want to see the roster updates and see the graphic on how things are going with the team. But I find it easier to break things up into like position groups and where are the needs within those groups. So real quick, we're going to just kind of run through the three position groups that I think make it a little easier to see big picture where we stand and kind of what my wish list is and kind of maybe where the needs are for the team. Like in the backcourt, we've been talking about them, the guard position. You've got the two freshmen coming in, Darius Acuff, Malik Thomas. You've got Billy Richmond that can play the two. Billy played some backup point guard this year, mostly out of necessity. I don't really want to see Billy as our primary backup point guard, but he can do it if need be. He can be a guard. And I think Carter, I mentioned it earlier, I think he can play the two. I don't think that's his most natural position, but I think if he goes to the NBA at 6'6", 6'5", whatever he is, I think that he would play a lot of two. So I could definitely see bigger lineups where he is there. So you've got four guys that could play it right now. I think there is an opening there currently, given the fact that DJ has not made a decision. I think if DJ comes back, you've got DJ Wagner, Acuff, Thomas, and Billy and Carter that could do it too. Feels like the backcourt's getting pretty full. Not that you can't take another transfer, but that maybe it would be harder to sell a top transfer that is primarily a guard that they would have a big role because of everyone that we currently have in the backcourt. So DJ's decision holds a lot of weight there. If DJ does not come back, I think it's a lot easier to sell to say, hey, Malik Thomas isn't ready yet for college for the college game. He's going to be really good. I want him to be a six man kind of guy. I've got an open two guard spot open. And that could be a pitch that Cal provides to a transfer that's looking like a shooting guard. So if DJ's not there, I think that then you're looking at someone like Lamar Wilkerson or someone else that's a shooter. But I think that they're looking to get guys back. Right now, they have not made any transfer moves because I think Cal and his staff are looking to retain the roster and get guys back. So that DJ Wagner decision will make move some dominoes in the backcourt as far as the transfer portal goes. Um, the next spot, the wing position, the more natural position for Carter Knox, the more natural position for Billy, and then you've got Isaiah Sealy who's coming in as a freshman, a four-star guy. I think he could be a bench guy in year one. I don't know if Cal is looking to find someone so that Sealy doesn't have to be relied upon a lot, but I would be fine with Sealy getting minutes at the three um, at points during the season. But I think here is where you'll see more of an opening that could be filled by Thero if Thero decides to come back. It could be filled by Nate Ament if he chooses Arkansas over Duke and Louisville and whoever else is still pursuing him. I think both of those guys committing fills up the wing positions. If you've got Billy Carter, Thero, and Nate Ament, is again, you're in the same position where you could get another transfer, but it's going to be a hard sell to tell somebody, hey, I've got a spot open where you're going to come get 28 minutes a game when you've got these four studs on the court together at the three and the four spot. So this is probably where there's the most like the most question marks on whether Thero returns, who Nate Ament chooses, which hopefully we will know that within the next week or so. He's the last top 10 guy that has not made his college decision for next year, so hopefully he will make it soon, one way or the other. But I think if you lose either of those guys, there's an opening here for a portal addition. So those are the decisions that I'm watching there. And again, like I said earlier, I think Carter is a prime candidate to start at one of those spots, the three or the four. So if you don't have Theo or Amit, you're recruiting somebody to come be your starter at the other position, in my opinion. Um, but if you don't, moves on to the next category, the bigs. So far, it's just Brazil, and then you've got Retail from Europe. I think he's more of a four. I don't know what to expect from him in year one. We've talked about it. I don't think he's like a bruiser in the paint. I think he's a more of a finesse skill guy. Happy to have him. Would be happy if he came out and was playable in year one, but I'm not putting a lot of stock in him. And then you've also got Thero can play the four quite a bit. He started there a lot this year. Again, waiting on that decision. But this is where the openings are. Like there are question marks at the guard and the wing position on who's coming back or whatever. If there are no question marks, we need centers. Like you lose Big Z and Jonas Adu. Trevin Brazil is your only player on the roster at the moment that can play center, and I do not want him to have to play center often. Right, like I'm fine with small ball lineups with Trevin Brazil in there. He cannot be who you're relying on at center. So this is where I'm looking. This is the wish list that I have. If I were to put one together right now, like if you asked me a top five guys in the portal, three or four of them would probably be centers in terms of who I want to come to Arkansas. You got to get a starting big. If you get a starting big that's a stud and then return everybody else, I think we're in great position. But I think you need to get two guys that can play center out of the portal to fill this gap, regardless of who returns. There's no other questions. This is the hole to fill for me at the moment. Would you guys agree with that?
Oh, 100%.
Yeah, there's no argument there.
I've been wanting a killer center for a while now, and I got that with Adu, and now he's gone. So
We got it for about half the season with
yeah,
Adu,
half the
but yeah.
season. Yeah, that's the only half I remember.
Yeah. So, like I was saying, if you get everybody back, if you get DJ back and Thero back, along with Brazil, Knox, and Billy, you get the four incoming freshmen. I really think all you need is two centers. If there's somebody else that wants to come play for Arkansas at a different position, you don't tell them no, but you've got to get two centers. And then if they want to focus on retaining everybody else, I think roster continuity and keeping that core together would be fantastic. I think it's better than making a big splash in the transfer portal and taking a gamble that you have someone like Nelly or Adu comes in with injury, comes in and underwhelms, whatever the case may be. So it's not as fun transfer portal season as it was with Muss when we're getting four and five guys over the course of a week and you're building a whole roster. But I think it will lead to more success if you can get five returners, a few freshmen, and then just a couple of guys that make a difference out of the portal, in my opinion. So speaking
And
of that,
hold on, not only five returners, but really five starters. Like
yeah,
Billy was on the verge of being a starter. Like it would be crazy to get five returning, five of those guys to come back to
vital
play
key
this next year.
pieces.
Yeah.
It has to be a
Yeah, you're
record for
right.
Cal too. To have that many guys coming back to play for him instead of going to the NBA.
Well, I don't know if y'all watched him on the Pat McAfee show, but he was talking about like how in his days at Kentucky, like he would bring in, he'd start five freshmen, and he said with this new transfer portal, he can't do that anymore. It's just so interesting to watch how this has completely changed the way that college coaches go about the off season.
Yeah, 100%. And it's going to feel weird for us as Arkansas fans too, because I don't know if you combine the last five seasons. I don't know if we have had six total returners from one season to the next.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like I don't know if we've ever had more than two in the same offseason since Musk got here. But anyways, so speaking of all that, there's a lot of guys in the portal, and speaking of how different it is between Muss and Cal, Cal keeps a lot of this stuff a lot more close to the chest. We don't really know everybody that he's contacting. There's obviously guys that will say Arkansas has reached out. There's guys that we know they're in contact with, but it's harder to know where his priorities are. I mentioned it earlier. I think really most of his priority right now is retaining the guys he has, but it's still hard to know who he's talking to in the portal. That being said, got a couple guys on my personal wish list, five or six guys that I think would be good fits, especially if you don't retain everybody. And I'll run through those guys kind of quick. Stop me if you have thoughts on one of these guys or if you have someone that you want to interject as well. But number one on my list, Flory Badunga, Kansas
Badunga.
backup center. He's a little short, but he's got a 7'2" wingspan, and he's just strong and athletic and a rebounder. I mean, he would be one of the best rebounders we've had at Arkansas in a while, I think, if he came here. Number one on my wish list. You can return everyone else. I feel good about every other position that we have right now. Maybe everywhere is not perfect, but I feel pretty good about it. You get this guy at center, I'm feeling fantastic about our team next year. And I think he fits. Like he's not a guy that needs the ball in his hands a lot. He's just a dirty work rebounding kind of center. So that's number one on my list. Um, the number one player probably in the portal right now is Yaxel Lindeborg. Doesn't seem likely that he's going to come to Arkansas, but I had to throw him on because I mean it's a wish list, right? But he's 6'9", 230, averaged 18, 11, 4, 2, and 2 last year. Just an unbelievable stat line. Shot 36% from three. He's an elite player. He could play center for us. I don't know if you want to start him at center. He's probably the starting four because of how versatile he is. But I mean, he could play the four and the five wherever he goes. It seems like Michigan and Kentucky are the front runners for him, but that's a wish list, best case scenario kind of guy if Cal can persuade him. A guard that has been linked to Arkansas and I think is still heavily considering Arkansas along with Kansas is Lamar Wilkerson. A very good three-point shooter out of Sam Houston. If you don't get DJ Wagner back, or if you don't get Thero or Nate Ament to come back or commit, I think that opens up some scoring opportunity, and I think that is more what Wilkerson is looking for, not necessarily like to be a ball hog, but he wants to go somewhere where he can contribute and where he can like start and be like a guy, like one of the go-to guys. It's going to be a hard sell with him. I mean, this is exactly who I'm talking about. If you get DJ back, how do you sell Lamar Wilkerson that he's going to have enough minutes? So that's going to be a big if. I also don't know if he wants to come if you get Nate Ament too, because he's going to take up a lot of shots. So this is a kind of guy I think he's kind of waiting on some of the decisions of the returners for Arkansas as well. But if they start losing some of those guys and don't retain as much as they want, this is a fantastic option. Probably the number one guard in the portal right now that I would choose for his shooting ability, alongside another point guard. After Wilkerson, you've got Nick Pringle, has played for both Alabama and South Carolina, a lot of SEC experience. Again, a little bit undersized as a center, but a good rebounder. Kicked our butts in the first game against South Carolina this year, alongside Colin Murray Boyles. They both put up big games, and they were just too physical for us to handle. And I would love for once for us to have somebody that's just too physical for other teams to handle. We saw it a little bit with Thero this year, but I would love our center to be the same way. And I mean, that's really what Pringle would be. I think if you can get a stud center and get Pringle as your backup, that is perfect execution of the transfer portal at the center position. And then just a couple more guys. You have Markel Sutton, who is a 19 point per game scorer. This is a replacement if you don't keep Thero, if you don't get Nate Ament. This is a great forward option to just come in and kind of be a scorer, be a shooter if you need somebody to come in and fill that hole. If you get Thero or Ament, I don't know that you can sell him to come here. He's going to want to go somewhere where he can have a more pronounced role, probably, but a good option to consider if you don't keep those guys. And then the last guy on the list is not technically in the portal yet, but I feel like in this day and age, everyone's kind of in the portal for the right price. But Cyril Somto committed to Cal when he was at Kentucky, a 6'10", just a paint beast. I mean, that's all he is, right? Like he's got a little bit of talent, a little bit of skill, but he's just athletic and he's just huge. He's strong, he's tall. He was a monster for Georgia a lot this year. Going into his sophomore season, if he wants to go back and reignite that relationship with Cal, I would not be surprised at all. But that's another center option that I would love to have on board. Do you guys have any thoughts about any of these guys I named or anyone on your list that you would like to see?
I would love Badunga. I think he's a terrific fit. Pringle is one of my top guys. I think you said it best. He'd be the perfect backup center and just a problem guy, a problem energy guy for other teams. And Cyril, we didn't see a ton of him in Georgia, but even in limited minutes, he still had some big games. So like in less than 20 minutes, he would have 10 rebound games or more, and I think he'd be just like you said, a paint beast. Um, but just thinking from the big perspective, I would like any of those three guys.
Yeah, I'm with you with Badunga because he gives me that name gives me PTSD from that Kansas game because of how many times Badunga with the offensive rebound, Badunga with the offense, that's how it went. And that's what I want to hear for us. So give me that guy and Pringle as well because me and just monsters, paint monsters, get along great. All right. I love seeing a guy that just beats the dog out of everybody in the paint. So I am really hoping we get one of those two or both. I'll take both. Give me
Why
both.
not both? Yeah. We're gonna sit here and talk about all these guys, and Cal's gonna pull out some 6'10" European that we've never heard of to be our backup center, probably, but that's okay too. Trust in
I
Cal.
see a brother of Jokic, please.
Yeah. All right. That's all we have for you guys today. We will keep providing content as moves start happening in the portal, as the decisions start being made. It's been kind of quiet so far, but dominoes will start falling soon. Quick reminder, we're brought to you by the Field of 68 Podcast Network. You can find us on YouTube, Twitter, wherever you get your stuff at. Please like, subscribe, comment, share. It means a lot to us. I've been your host, Brandon Baker, joined by Joey Jackson and Matt Jackson. And as always, go Hogs.
Thanks, everyone.